Hey, what's up, what's up, what's up? A gracious good morning to you good people. It's your girl KB. You know what I do and you know why I do it. It is Saturday morning. It's 7:22 in the AM and it's January 11th. I know this video has a weird title. It says listen with your eyes. And the reason I say that, well, actually a couple of reasons. I shared yesterday that I was in the barber shop the other day and a conversation turned heated when one barber said to the other, "You don't listen." And it was said in the context that one of the barbers was engaged in a conversation. He actively participated in the conversation. And I want to say about 20 minutes later, he's asking questions related to the conversation that he was engaged in. And another brother who's cutting hair basically told him he doesn't listen. And the dude took exception to that and began to defend his position. But basically, he confirmed what the other brother told him. He said, "I wasn't paying attention." So, in other words, dude, you weren't listening. Now, I myself have been guilty of being physically present, but mentally and emotionally checked out. And it cost me. I want you to think about the times in your life where you've been mentally and emotionally checked out, but physically present. And just kind of ask yourself, what is the price I paid for that activity? I'm getting to my point. So this morning I get up and I read that Facebook is doing away with its DEI policies, running with the political climate of these days. For some reason, people are confusing DEI with affirmative action policies that somehow grate their status of privilege and entitlement. And I want to say this. You incorporated DEI policies. This is to every major corporation. You incorporated DEI policies because you knew that for hundreds of years, the playing field was never level. That was the reason it was created. It wasn't any special treatment. It was like, hey, look, we need to dismantle some of our entitlements and privileges in a way, that we can look at everybody and see how everybody has a place and everybody can contribute. But see, now we're slowly rolling back these things and calling it something different. If people were, I want to say, going to be included based on their merit, based on, how they show up, how they perform, if you will, there will be a whole lot more people in people of color, people of different nationalities, people of different ethnicities, there would be a whole lot more of the folks that I just identified in positions to make, I want to say, decisions in major corporations. But we couldn't possibly have that, so we're doing away with the things that, I want to say, propped the door open. The door never swung wide open. That propped the door open. I want to share this with you folks. When I was in high school, my first year of high school was spent at an all-girls Catholic school. Now, I was woefully ill-equipped based on my public school education for this school. But I studied, I struggled, I stayed after school to get my academic level up to the standard of the school. Now, mind you, I was an honor student in the public school, but I realized, I was an honor student based on the standard of, they hate those people over there. So when I went to the Catholic school in my freshman year, I learned enough information to get me through the other 3 years, because I returned to a public high school because I wasn't happy in that environment, because they made it known that, people of color weren't welcome. They made it known that, we're only allowing you in based on our DEI standards. And this is back in the day, y'all. This was the 70s. So, they made it known, and I was just uncomfortable knowing that if something went down, I wouldn't have any covering. If something went down, there were no people that looked like me, that I could commiserate with. So I returned to public school, and again, I didn't have to really exert myself for those next 3 years of school because I learned so much. So that let me know the disparity of the education. Now, I was a member of the National Honor Society. I graduated with a 3.89 GPA. At one point, I had a 4.0. Then I was introduced to the option for college, and I knew I was moving out of state. So, that's when you take the SATs. And I refused to take the SAT for a couple of reasons. One, I don't do standardized testing. Test anxiety, and I know those tests are biased. So I refused to give up a Saturday and pay to take a test when my GPA, stood for something. So I get to college, and there was a culture shock, a transition from New York to California. So my freshman year of college, I struggled, and I took some time off. It's like, no, I'm going to work. And plus, because of my struggles in, adjusting to a new environment, I was on academic probation. But I returned to school, and I graduated junior college with a 3.89 GPA. This number is significant because, I began working and doing certain jobs, and I went back to school in 2006 to get my BA, some 20 odd years after, no, it wasn't 20 years, but a little under 20 years after getting my AA, I returned to school. And again, I graduated with a 3.89 GPA. And, straight 2 years I worked full time and went to school full time. At one point, I had a 4.0 for a semester. I'm doing what I love. But I also recognize the disparity and the need for DEI education. But once again, this country is telling us that no matter what you have, we're going to make you pay to measure up to our standard. Now, I have some pretty highly recognized family members who have contributed to this nation. Highly recognized and highly decorated who have contributed to this nation. I won't mention names and titles, but my family knows. I have educators in my family. I have social workers in my family. I have people who have some high level, again, of recognition. And you can't tell me that, doors swung open for them just based on who they were. I know how hard they worked. I know who and what, you used them for, to represent or to front. But you can't take away from what they learned, what they earned, and how they moved. Again, DEI props the door open for opportunities that you continue to deny. But when people are placed, you find out what they really know. Let's just stop pretending that we live in a post-racial society. Let's stop pretending that you don't see color, because you show it every day. That's why I say, listen with your eyes, because it's what you're not saying, what you're doing, that's really telling.